Welcome to Inner Niña podcast, embracing your inner child while leading with strength. This is a space for Latina women and beyond who are ready to break generational cycles and lead from a place of wholeness. Together, we will reconnect with the little girl inside, the one who dreamed big, felt deeply, and longed to be seen, and honor her as we step in fully into our power. Join me, Maria Benitez, for heartfelt reflections and empowering conversations about identity, healing, culture, and leadership. Each episode invites you to embrace your inner niña while leading with authenticity, compassion, and courage. Welcome back to Inner Niña. Today we welcome a special guest, Latina Aristizabal. I hope I pronounced that name right. Ana is a nutrition coach, entrepreneur, and former corporate professional passionate about helping high-performing Latinas reclaim their energy, confidence, and health in a sustainable way. After years in the corporate world, she now empowers busy women to prioritize themselves without extreme diets or burnout. Ana combines practical wellness strategies with mindset support to help women feel strong from the inside out. Thank you, Ana. Thank you for joining our Inner Niña community. How are you today?
Thank you, Maria. So honored and happy to be here. Thank you for opening up these spaces to continue to heal our inner niñas, like you mentioned. So important to create more awareness and more support for us in here. Thank you for doing what you do.
Thank you. I hope I didn't mess up your last name. I was like, it's a very unique name. I was practicing, so I'm sorry if I messed it up.
No worries at all.
I love the fact that you have Latina within your, in between your name. I love that. So fun fact, how I met her, this is actually the first time I'm meeting her. We follow each other on one of our social media platforms, and she reached out, and the minute I saw her name pop out in the description of what she does, I'm like, I need to get her in, and she needs to come and talk to us. This is a platform that we've created to, like you mentioned, to heal our inner niña and break generational cycles. And part of those generational cycles that we've also talked in other episodes is changing a lot of bad teachings, I want to say, that we've learned, and I talk about myself because going to the doctor is not something that we do for preventive measures. Going to the doctor is, oh, you're sick, you can go, and we don't do it for like maintenance, right? And that's something that we need to change. I was talking to a friend of mine, I said, you know, we're really good at maintaining our vehicles. We give them oil change, we go get them tune-ups. We kind of have a calendar, say, okay, it's time for my oil change. But when do we have a calendar, the things that we need to do for ourselves, our physical, eye doctor, our dentist, our hearing, what have you? You know, you should put that in your to-do every year if you can create a routine, because it's easy for us to catch things before they get worse, right? And we've been talking a lot about working inside out, and that's one of the things that we want to talk about. And I love the fact that that's exactly what you're doing, you know, teaching women how to take care of themselves. So tell us a little bit about your background, who you are, and your culture, heritage, and what you do for work.
Amazing, Maria. Thank you for saying it's more of creating like an awareness, right, for our communities, for our jefas, like I like to call them. So I'm originally from Colombia, from Medellín, like Carol G. So super happy, exactly, to my paisitas. Like you said, not every Latin American is from Mexico, so it's very nice that we acknowledge our culture and we highlight, because we have so much variety and bring so much to the table when we're Latinas. And that's why Latina is in my name. Other than my last name is very hard, is because I'm very proud that we bring so much to the table. So I'm originally from Colombia. I've been here in the US. I live in California for the last 7 years, and I used to be in corporate in IT. I worked there for 17 years, very successful career. And like most of us, we are goal, we are chingonas, berracas, motivated. We want the promotion. We want the higher salary. We want to be sitting at the table, right? We want to earn that. And sometimes we also take care of the kids, the husband, the parents, right? On top of that, we might be the first generation to go to the university. We might be the first generation to move to the US. We might be many firsts in our family. And all of that to say that the reason that I do what I do is because we take care of everyone with so much energy. We take care of our careers that we forget about ourselves. Exactly what you were saying is, when do we schedule a little massage for ourselves? When do we schedule a little workout session? It's because we feel the guilt, right? That I'm investing that time in me instead of taking care of the kids, instead of working, of replying that email, right? So that's a little bit of the background. Is on the side, being born in Colombia, we have delicious food. And don't get me wrong, I love my chicharrón, my empanadas. Each of our countries has amazing, delicious food, perhaps not so nutritional, right? So I used to be la gordita. La gordita desde que I have 2 years, since I'm 2 years old, the biggest girl in every room up until I was 27. Maria, I don't know if you can relate or our audience can relate. I did everything. I tried everything. The yo-yo diets. I did the papaya for a week, cucumber and tuna for 2 weeks. I did some pills that I should not have done back in the day in Colombia. I did the Herbalife, the Weight Watchers, every nutritional coach in Medellín, but the weight kept coming back. I used to lose the weight, feel great, but I was starving, right? So the next week, I'm like, ya voy por mi pan, right? I go get my chicharrón, because you couldn't live without that, right? It's the restriction and the fear, and it was up and down all my life. And I worked out, believe me. It's like I closed all my Apple rings. I did everything, but I couldn't make it sustainable, right? And at 27, I said I was going up my apartment in Colombia, which we didn't have an elevator. And I was 27, right? And I got to the fourth floor because, of course, we lived in the fourth floor. And I was like catching my breath. And I said, God, I'm not even 30. And I can't catch my breath. I said, this has to change. So I said, F it. There's got to be a different way. And I studied and I said, okay, there's a different way of doing things. I lost my weight. I went into this beautiful, kind of like physical and emotional journey, because it's about connecting to yourself. That's what weight loss and creating a healthy lifestyle to me is connecting to yourself. And I fell in love of working out. I started eating better, still eating my chocolatico, my donut, my whatever I like, but most of the time eating healthier, better things for me, understanding what I was putting in my body and how well I felt the next day. Versus if I had a big pizza or something, I felt like crap the next day. So I started connecting here. I said, okay, I get to enjoy and balance what's worth it to me. Took me a year and a half to lose 88 pounds, 40 kilos, and I've kept them off for 13 years. That's when I said, okay, this is my lifestyle. This is something I can sustain. And that's what I do now. After being in IT for so many years, I decided to start my role as an entrepreneur. And I've been doing coaching on the side and saying, you know what? Nuestra comunidad needs something like this. We need someone who helps us and tells us, hey, you're not alone in this journey. And you know what, Maria, and our audience knows too, there's so much misinformation out there about nutrition. It's do this diet, do the fasting, which for women, please, por favor, no, fasting is not good for us. It disrupts our hormones so badly. There is all the protein bars and all the misinformation out there. In reality, nutrition is very simple. It's more about enjoying the foods that we love in a sustainable way. It's testing your patience, and it's meal after meal, but building something that connects with you. So all of that to say that right now I'm working on building a community that supports us, because we also deserve to take care of ourselves. Like we take care of everyone, we can't pour from an empty cup. We need to be well ourselves and take that time, that awareness to be well.
That's great. Well, thank you for sharing. And I think you made a couple good points. Because our culture, I think food plays a big role in our Latino culture, right? I want to say first, you're our first Colombian guest, which I'm glad. I love it because I want to have like all the banderas representando aquí en nuestra comunidad. So, and then you see a lot of us are Carol G fans. So I eventually want to go to Colombia, and I also want to give the shout outs to my Latina authors who actually are going to be showcasing their books in Bogota in the next couple of weeks. And they're part of the community as well. And one of the Latina authors, Andrea Melchor, actually wrote a book because she struggled with diabetes at a very young age as a child. And she was in a wheelchair. And she talks about how her family was like, oh, tómate este té, eso te va a ayudar. And it goes back to your point, Anna, we have to educate because a lot of misconception. I was fortunate, and maybe because I had a faster metabolism when I was a little girl, because I couldn't stay still. I could eat whatever I want, but I always didn't want to eat what I wanted to eat. I was forced to eat everything on my plate. There was always, I remember being little, there was always a belt on the other side of the chair. Te tiene que comer eso, no te levantas de ahí. You have to eat everything or you don't get out of there. And then so it was a threat of getting punished if I didn't finish the food, right? And it happens a lot. It happens to a lot of people. I mean, I remember I was being forced to eat bacalao because I wasn't gaining weight. And that was like
Yeah.
nasty to me. But it was almost a form of torture growing up. So I was fortunate until I said maybe I got in my 30s, and after my second child, your hormone starts changing. And now I'm in my 50s. I'm in menopause, so I've kind of given up. I work out a lot. I try to make good choices, but I love bread. I won't lie. I have a toxic relationship with bread. We can't seem to break up. I've tried, but those are the things we have to program. And I just like you, after I had my daughter, I've done Weight Watchers. I haven't done the other things. I've done diet pills. And so the way I started doing it as well is, okay, it's a lifestyle. You mentioned it's a lifestyle. It can be a quick fix. You can't have a cabbage soup diet and lose 10 pounds and expect to keep it, right? If you only drink juices, you're going to lose weight. But the minute you put solid food, you're going to get it. It's changing that mindset, creating new routines, new way of doing things, educating yourself, your vitamins, checking yourself what's working. I know actually I went for a few years where I wouldn't eat any red meat at home because I learned a study that women had a hard time processing red meat, the protein on red meat. So nobody in my house ate red meat. It was all white meat, and we were really healthy. I still indulge every now and then, but it wasn't like a daily or weekly meal, which we're more used to it in our homes, right? So it's educating. I'm glad that you're bringing this to light because it's a lot of misinformation that have been put in our minds since a very young age.
Yes.
And if we don't teach us right now and we not teach the next generation, we're going to continue. And I've seen the studies that, and actually I was looking at a couple months ago, the pictures from people in the 1970s, everybody was thin. Everybody was skinny. And I did a comparison of the before the 70s and people now. People are obese. And it's because everything's supersized, everything is processed, everything's sugary. And so I was like, that was a really reality check when I saw those pictures. And I'm like, a lot had to do because we're eating out a lot. And so, what do you recommend steps that people can do to first change that lifestyle?
Beautiful. And I'm going to go back for a moment to recognize what you said is our culture brings a lot of love with food or through food, right? So first chip that we have in the brain, right, is food is love. First thing that we need to work on is food is a vehicle, food is energy. We love the people, right? That's the first connection. So when we go to holidays to visit La Abuelita and everything, food is there and we enjoy it. We don't need to overindulge. And that's where we start changing the mindset. That's the majority of the work that we do with our program in our community is working on the mindset, right? And connecting back to yourself. So the other point that you touched very important is about studies, right? Because kind of like we're educating ourselves. No one taught us this, and we're breaking generational patterns. No one talked to us about perimenopause and menopause and what was coming for us, which is a whole different thing. And it's a third of 34% of a woman's life. We should be talking more about what happens and how we can prevent it or get better at being there and enjoying this new stage in life. Connecting to the studies, we have two very important statistics for Latinos in US, for Latinas, actually. The first one is around 73% of Latinas and Latinos in the US are obese and overweight. So it's not only the American population, it's our community. Our community has a big health situation. So for our audience, just bear in mind, you're not alone. This is not something that happens to you alone. There's many of us, and there are many resources now other than GLPs, Ozempic, all of those medications. There are many things that we can do. And the second situation too is the amount of diabetes that we have. We, because of our Latina, beautiful, amazing, so proud heritage that we have, we are almost 80% more likely to develop type 2 diabetes than a white woman in America because we love el pan, we love la empanada, la arepa in my case, right? Our cultures are food based in a lot of carbs, right? Not so much protein, not so much heavy on the veggies, right? So our bodies have that tendency. So what can we do to change those things? Basically, things that people can do. The first one, super important for Latinas audience that are here with us today, have your breakfast, girls. Before the cafecito, and believe you me, I'm from Colombia. I wake up and I've been having coffee since my baby bottle. You know, I live for coffee. I love coffee. But it turns out that you and I, Maria, and our audience, when we wake up, we have higher levels of cortisol than men. That's why we're jagged and we're somos la jefa de la casa, right? We do everything, right? And if the first thing we do is have our cafecito, then our cortisol goes high. So why is that important for us? Because the higher levels of cortisol we have, our bodies think, oh my God, we're at war, fight or flight. And what does our body do? I am not going to lose 1 pound. I'm going to me voy a quedar con todo, especially in our belly area, en la pancita. So when you get stressed, you feel like you get bloated, right? So all the cortisol saying, estamos en guerra, hay que proteger. So first thing. So easy solution, eat something before your breakfast. Something as simple as a couple of tablespoons of Greek yogurt. If you're lactose intolerant, there are lactose-free Greek yogurt. Have a little egg with a little rice toast. Have protein powder in your coffee. It's called Profi, and you can add vanilla, and it's like a vanilla latte, or you can have chocolate, and then you have like a mocha. Something be in your stomach with the coffee so that you don't do that cortisol spike. So that's one easy thing. Make sure also that you're having enough protein in every meal. That's the second thing. And there's a boom of protein. I just actually made a post today on that on my Instagram because as I went to Costco yesterday. Oh my God, I love Costco. Who doesn't? So I went there and there's like 2 aisles of protein, let's say artificial protein products. There's a Reese's protein bar. I'm like, oh my God, I need to try this because I used to love Reese's. Of course, it didn't taste any good. Nothing like a Reese's, but I tried it. And the protein, everything. But when you look at the ingredients, Maria, there are a lot of shitty ingredients. It's all highly processed, right? So easy or better for us things or ways to get protein. It's going back to simple, going back to basics, right? Red meat, if you can tolerate it. Turkey is another great option. Lean turkey. Ham, like low sodium ham. Tuna, fish, salmon, great for us for our hormones. A lot of omega-3s. Huevos, egg whites, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese. Those are, and veggies like beans, nuestros amados frijolitos, that not only Mexico has beans, right? Colombia also has pinto beans and many of our other amazing banderas. Lentils have very good amount of protein. Garbanzo beans, grains from our ancient culture bring a lot of protein. Why is protein so important? Because it's a buzz of protein. I want to make sure that our audience understands why protein is so important. Protein is so important for many reasons. I'm going to give you 3. First one, because you and I and our audience have that 80% more chances of developing type 2 diabetes. And with your other guest in the show, hopefully you also discuss this part, is protein helps you process carbs better, right? When you have a protein with your pancito, with your bread, with your empanada, with your arepa, then your body doesn't have such a high glucose spike. Why is that? Because your stomach needs to digest and break down the fibers from the protein. That way it can absorb the glucose from the bread or from the empanada, from the arepa so fast. And glucose is important for us because the more glucose spikes we have throughout the day, the cortisol goes up. And again, your body is like, I can't let go. So that's why managing your glucose is important right now. What we're talking about is because of the protein and managing that energy, right? And managing those glucose spike. Protein is very important also because it's the one that feeds the muscle. So muscles are important for us because it allows us to move independently, to move, movilidad. Also, the more muscle we have, like exactly what you were talking when you were young, you process faster the food. So you get to, let's say, quote unquote, eat more calories or process better the sugars when you have more muscle. That's why perhaps when we age, women lose 1% of lean body mass after 30, 1% every year if we don't work out those muscles and if we don't eat enough protein. So that's why protein is so important to help us preserve the muscle. And protein is very important for us, number 3, because it's like the nature's GLP, right? It's the most satiating macro. Think when you eat a big piece of chicken or a steak in your case, or a big egg white frittata that you make at home. You're super full to go eat other shitty things, right? It helps you be satisfied and make sure that you make better food choices when you're eating that. That's why protein is so important. So those are the 3 key things that I would tell our audience to focus. Which one do you think, Maria, will be easier for you to apply?
Well, I want to go back to the one that I just learned not so long ago because I love my coffee and you have, Colombian coffee. It's great. I came back with Salvadorian coffee, and that's been like, I can't wait to have my cup of coffee. But I literally just learned just recently that drinking coffee on an empty stomach really spikes up your cortisol, and your cortisol is your stress hormone. And I didn't know this. I'm not trying to sound smart. I'm just like, because I'm like, okay, what do I need to do to make better decisions? And that's what I learned being at my age where I'm now menopause. And they're like, I was reading like drinking coffee in an empty stomach basically is creating that extra cortisol, spikes stress hormone. You retain more. And but for many years, everybody's like, I just have a cup of coffee, black cup of coffee, and you're fine, not knowing that you've been fasting while you're sleeping. And so the first thing that you're feeding your coffee is a spike, right? I literally just learned that. And so now I make it a point that before I have my coffee, I'm actually eating the meal. Rather, it could be like egg whites, or it could be my protein shake, whatever, before I sip my coffee. And so, and I can tell you that didn't happen until just recently. So if anybody could take that away, because I believe you have people here relatable that we all drink coffee. For the most part, I think everybody drinks coffee. And I could tell you that everybody most likely is doing it wrong.
Yeah.
They're drinking the coffee, and that'd be the one thing that you would change. I also learned the protein. I like to work out. I like to go weight training because I don't want to be all saggy as I keep getting older. And one thing I learned is after I work out, I have to come and have my protein shake because it's fueling now my muscle, right? And so I'm more intentional, and I have my vegetable there. It's a vegetable protein because I was drinking the typical protein that's more animal based.
Whey protein.
Because, yeah, whey protein, and because I am prone to high cholesterol for my family, I made a conscious choice. So it's a vegetable based protein, right? And I just put a banana and cinnamon powder. And sometimes I put oatmeal, and blend it together to make it a little heavy. But that's what I do. Where I fall is because I crave my bagel in the morning. And so those are like my non-negotiables. And un pancito dulce con mi café, that's what I had this morning, because I dip it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you make a good point that we can make small changes and not sacrifice, right? If you make one change, one small change, and stick to it, because it technically says that it takes 21 days, 21 times to make that a habit. So you're not going to create a habit if you only do it for one day. You have to constantly make it, and it becomes part of your routine, right? So those are my
100%.
two takeaways that has worked for me. You know what I mean? And try to be conscious also not to drink too much soda, because I have a sweet tooth, and that's also my weakness. So I try to drink water. I always have something with water near me to constantly keep hydrated, and that I didn't do before. So I'm more mindful to drink as much water as I can during the day. So those are the things I've been applying. I wish, from my point, salads look really good. I love eating salads, but I think someone needs to teach me how to make salads, because it's a skill that I have not mastered. They look good but I would say little changes. And I think that you can recommend that some as well, because people get turned off by saying, well, I can't eat like a bird. And it doesn't have to be intimidating, right? Just like one small change, right? So you mentioned you lost 80 pounds, right?
88 pounds.
88
Yes.
pounds. So
Ridiculous.
give us 3 of the things that you implemented right away, slowly, because you mentioned also one thing where everybody's doing it right now, the GLPs, all these shots that they're taking. I'm afraid to take them because there's other things that are coming with, you're messing up your system and you're going to gain it back. And what's keeping me away is because they're saying that some people lose so much weight that they lose their booty. And I'm like, I'm not losing mine. So I'm
We
not
work very hard.
yeah. Listen, I was born with it. I am not losing it. So that's for me. Is like, no, I'm gonna work the other way. I'm gonna work out, try to lose it the normal way. I'm not gonna. It scares me. But everybody's doing it. Everybody's on that quick fix, right? But those quick fixes, you're gonna regain them back. So kind of share from your perspective, because you mentioned that you were huffing and puffing as you were walking up the stairs, and you realized you had your aha moment. And you're like, I need to change. What were the first 3 things that you did to start your life change, your new lifestyle?
Amazing. Thank you for sharing. We'll get back to the GLP ones. I would like to share something there, but let's talk about 3 tips. Things that kind of like challenge what I had in my head, right? And I used to ask a lot of questions to the nutritionist in Colombia when I was there, and I was like, "But how does it work?" Okay, the main thing that back then they were telling me is you need to eat less and move more. That was a whole thing. 1,200 calorías, 1,200 calories, ensaladita, pollito, una papa, half a potato, and that's it. And then you wait 18 hours and then you have your next meal. And it was terrible. It was exactly, I was hungry all day. I was mad. I was irritable. I was a bitch when I was on those diets, right? And then of course I ended up lost the weight, but then the next day I wanted mi pancito, my pizza, I gained the weight. So the first thing that I learned is we actually need to eat more than 1,200 calories. I made a post the other day that is really stuck in my head is 6-figure women cannot survive on ensalada con pollo. That's not how we eat. That's not how our bodies have enough energy to perform the way we want them. We are overachievers. We want to do more. We want to do podcasts for people. We want to invite. We want to take care of the family. But then we're feeding like we're birds. We cannot eat like birds and act like eagles, you know? So the first thing that I learned is there's actually a super easy formula if you Google it. How many calories should I be eating for my age, my height? We're all tiny because we're Latin American, but who cares? How tall we are, our weight. And that tells us, for example, in my case, I need to eat like 2,500 calories just to survive. And taking into account the amount of working out and exercise that I do. So when you add all that up, you're like, oh, I'm not eating enough. And that's the first thing we notice when I start working with someone is, oh, I have not been eating. No wonder I eat super little during the week. And over the weekend, I go all in. Right? Or at night, I'm like, I have cafecito in the morning, then a salad for lunch. And at night, I want to eat the whole fridge. Of course, your body's telling you like, hey, girl, balance it out. So that was the first learning her. We actually need to eat more. It's not this. And I don't know if in your country also was like that, but in Colombia, in Medellín, women not only have to be skinny, but they have to eat less than the guy. The guy is the one who eats the biggest dish and the girl eats ensalada con pollo. No, we need everything. We need every type of macronutrient, fat, carb, and protein. So that was the first. The second one is working out is your best ally for many reasons. First and foremost, it's like a meditation. No one regrets doing a workout. You go there, you forget about the world. It's your moment, your time, and you're working on yourself. The second reason that is very important, because we want to look sexy, right? And let's talk about that. We're Latinas. We like the red. We like sex. We like to be sexy. And no better way to look sexy than not be saggy, right? We want to have those sexy, tight muscle, legs, glutes, everything. And also, we want to age better. We want to make sure that we're walking by ourselves for as long as we can. And the only way to do that is having a strong muscles. So that was the second one. It's like, hey, working out is not just doing cardio, not just running. I hate running. I really do. Cycling, I was addicted to it for a while until my knees start talking to me. And it's like, okay, cardio is good for your heart health once a week if you want to do it, but it's not the way to lose weight. It's not the way to age better. It's not the way to get to perimenopause and menopause at a better shape. Okay. And the third one is you need to include the foods that you like. Otherwise, it's not sustainable. So kind of like what some people call it the cheat day. I don't like to call it like that because it's not like, for example, you like your bagel. We can work around your bagel and structure the rest of the day around your bagel. That way your brain is like, hey, I'm having what I like. It's okay if I have one bagel every day and perhaps I cannot have another bagel in the evening, right? I already had my bagel checked. There's not a restriction. That's not like the mindset. You're free. It's freedom with food to enjoy what you want. Making sure that you're having the other macronutrients that are good for you. And my whole thing, invitation for you all in the audience is 80-20. 80-20 in your life. Choose 80% of the time salads with rice or with the carb that you like and with good amount of protein. Your protein shake, your Greek yogurt, your protein powder that you do 20% of the time, the bagel, el pancito dulce, la dona, the cake. To me, it's chocolate. So 80%. That way your brain is like, hey, this is sustainable in time. And talking about that, if you want, let's connect to the GLP point, because actually I have some of my clients are using the GLP. And what we're doing is, well, GLP, you can also be stuck. You can also not lose weight. So it's not necessarily a miracle thing that works for everyone. What does work is, and it could be a help, is getting into those habits, right? What GLP does is it kind of like mutes the food noise in your brain. So you're not thinking about food all day. But if we start eating more protein, you'll be more full. And if you start working out, your body will process better the calories, right? So it's building those habits. But the one thing with the GLP-1s that, like you very well said, the doctors don't tell us is 40% of the weight that you lose with GLP-1s is not fat, it's muscle. So you're going to look saggy. And they're talking about plastic surgeries for GLP-1s. La piel se empieza a caer, right? And the second one is 90%, I believe the statistics is 90% of people who get off the GLP regain the same weight they lost within the next year. Like you very well said, it's not sustainable. So why go through something that's going to perhaps make you sicker at the end, right? It could be a help, absolutely. And I work with many people that are doing that as a help, but still we're working on the habit so that when they decide to stop that, they're super empowered. And that's what I want to do is empower women with enough information, enough tools, enough a tool set of what to eat, when to eat, for a busy lifestyle, for a conference, for I'm traveling, for I'm going to the holidays. Every one of my clients in December, they lost weight. And it was the holidays and they were visiting La Familia, but we are on a different mindset and we have tools. And that's my mission here is empower women to have a healthy life without hurting themselves. Because I was there trying to punish myself and that didn't work clearly. There's a better way of doing things where you can be happy, healthy, and super powerful.
I like that. And one of the things the takeaway for me is the things that you're saying is teaching the new routines, right? I know that I was trying to change a lot of that after I had my daughter. When I had my son in my 20s, so I bounced really fast. When I had my daughter, I started noticing it wasn't as easy. So I was trying to make some changes. I went to a nutritionist, and this is another fallacy because we're told just eat 2 good meals. And my trainer, actually, he had a program that worked with Gold's Gym. He's like, you have to eat 6 different meals. The smaller the meal, basically you're not going to starve me more. So your system is saying, oh, she's going to feed me soon. So it's burning, your metabolism speeds up. But if you're only eating 2 meals, you're basically, your body's like, and that goes to how going back to the ages, right? Where they will hunt the food and they will maybe eat once. And so your body retains that for survival. We don't have to survive. We can eat every 5 minutes if we want to, right? We don't have to go hunt our food. So we have to be more mindful of that. So through him, I learned, and actually, that's what I started learning a little bit. And I had to learn all this stuff because I'm like, my weight wasn't coming back, and I was like, put that with post depression, whatever. I was just like, I was a hot mess. So I was like, now how do I learn? He actually will give me a spreadsheet and said, okay, these are the calories for your breakfast, and he literally will give me a menu and a drop box, and he gave me the calories and would tell me the workouts that I need to do. To your point, if it says 2,500, I'm burning at 700 in workout, you have to kind of make sure that I'm not falling under because then I'm going to be on my starving mode, which is why I'm raiding the refrigerator in the middle of the night when people are asleep and I'm eating everything that's not supposed to, right? But if you balance your sugar with 6 little meals, and my meals were a breakfast, right, with my coffee, and I stopped putting milk in my coffee. It was just sweet and low, not artificial sugar. And I will have a protein bar and it was like timed. When I wake up at 9 o'clock, I was having my first snack. At 12, I was having my lunch, and he even gave me a menu where I can find the foods that were healthy in the plan. It could be pollo loco. I love pollo loco. So pollo loco, guava grill. And I knew the calories they will take because I already had the chicken and the vegetables. At 3 o'clock, I was having another snack, another protein, either a protein shake or protein bar, whichever was easy. But I was planning my meals, and then at 6 o'clock, I was having my last meal. And if it was I was working out, a protein shake after my workout. And I was able to lose weight in there because I was never hungry. My body was never giving an opportunity to go into starvation mode. So metabolism was kicking in. I was loving it. He introduced me to do weight training. And one of the things I learned through that process, because again, the way we're taught, when I remember in high school, my friends were running, oh, you have to run to lose weight. But the minute you start doing cardio, you start burning fat. But if you do weight training, your body's recovering even after you stop weight training. So your body's rebuilding and you're still burning calories because now you're on recovery mode. Your muscle, you basically are torturing your muscles when you're working out. So after you work out, your body's recovering and still burning calories. And that's why I love working out. I don't really I've done races, but now I say it jokingly and I don't run unless I'm being chased. I prefer the workout and also to stay tone, right? And I love the sense where I'm a little sore a day or two later because I know that I worked that muscle enough and I know that it's working to my benefit. But where I'm at is now going back to the routine that worked with me initially a few years ago. It's remembering to eat smaller portion. I was doing really good where I had my alarm go off to remind me, because we as women, we're career women, we're busy taking care of everybody else. We forget, and you're like, oh my God, I forgot to eat all day. It's 3 o'clock, and you're like double the meal, shoving it all in, and you're like, now I feel horrible because I overate. But if you create a routine, then it's easier for you to stick to a plan, a lifestyle, than if it is for you to take those shortcuts.
That is such an interesting point, Maria. Great idea to schedule it. Schedule it. Little reminder. Like you said, when we stop eating those highly frequent meals, then we're going to be more hungry. We're going to have mood swings and the cravings come later. Exactly what you're saying. Easy things you can do. And there's a podcast I would like to recommend the girls too. It's a podcast by Mel Robbins. It's called, I'm trying to look in here. It's called 5 Ways to Actually Make Your Habits Stick. So why is this important? Let's do it Latino way, right? Let's bring the Latino version for us. She mentions in the podcast that she wanted to start working out. For you had that drive that, hey, I want to get better. You went to someone, told you to work out, you went and did it, right? So for some of us, it's harder to start working out or to change from cardio to weights, right? And she said, you know what? The way it worked for me was she had to go to the gym very early in the morning, and there was a burrito place across her gym. And she's like, you know what? Every time I do a workout, I'm going to indulge myself. I'm going to reward myself with my burrito. I love it. Cheesy, melty, whatever. I was like, okay, maybe, I don't know if it's for me. I wouldn't do that. But she said, it's like when you train your dog, right? When you train your dog to sit, you give him a little treat. So the dog learns to sit because he's ready for the treat. That's the same way our brains work, how we can make it. So for us, and for example, I have something that's like my personal tracker, right? And every day I check in, and I love that, checking in. I did my work. I did it. I did my rest. That's also important for me. Did my rest, did my work. Did my rest, did my work. I always rest in between workouts to let my body recover. And that's something also that I had to learn, is not going to the gym every 7 days a week. It's going 3-4 days a week. That's enough. That's better. Recovering works far better. Forming the habit is try to think, what is your reward? Could be food. Okay, if you like a protein bar, my reward will be the protein bar or the protein shake like you do after a workout. Delicious. It could be, you know what, the day I work out, I'm going to eat mi pancito dulce. It's okay. Or that day, I'm going to go out to dinner with my family. Or it could be something different than food, right? In my case, it's cafecito. When I come back from my workout, I have my cup of coffee. So that to me is like, I did it. I check and I did it.
It
It
doesn't
could be,
give you up?
I work out in the morning.
Oh,
So eat my protein in the morning, go work out, come back, cafecito. I'm like, I'm ready to start the day, right? But yes, cafecito after 2 p.m., no more. Agree with you. No dark beverages. It could be something else like, you know what? After my workout, I'm going to watch my favorite TV show. I'm going to allow myself, I'm going to reward myself. Or I'm going to take a hot shower for 10 minutes and just chill and cruise. I'm going to go talk to my husband for 10 minutes. I'm going to go and do something fun. I'm going to go play with the kids. I'm going to sit down and read my book for 10 minutes. Find your reward. I'm going to have a glass of wine. Most of my clients also are like tired from all day, do their workout, come back home, have their dinner with their glass of wine. And they're relaxing. So not only you're working out your muscles, but you're indulging yourself and relaxing and helping you lower the cortisol. Again, going back to the cortisol is managing your stress, and managing our stress matters so much more than we think. Our cortisol spikes not only come from the sugar. I got a glucose monitor a few days ago because I was like, I talk so much about glucose. I want to try it on myself. Oh my God. Oh my God, the things that I learned. Of course, chocolate gives me a glucose spike if I don't eat it with something else. But very interesting, Mari, handling our shit is so important, Stress gives you glucose spikes that you don't know. I'll tell the audience a funny story. I was driving, and I have a Tesla, right? And my boyfriend he's very strong. He's a gringo. And I was driving, and he started, of course, directing, right? Driving from the co-pilot seat. Turn left, turn right. And I was like stressed out. I looked at my glucose monitor while we were in the line, right? Oh my God, huge glucose spike. And I was like, God damn it. This is so important to handle our shit, right? And to make sure we don't let things that are not really stressful, like we're not being hunted, right? Might as well handle our shit. Take a deep breath in and learn to let go. What matters? What actually matters are glucose spikes in these cases, right? Super interesting there. Forming the habits is finding the way to do things for you that you like, taking care of yourself, right? Lowering the glucose. That way it can be repeated. It can be part of your lifestyle and not just a one-off workout and then you spend 3 months without showing up to the gym, right?
That's really interesting that you said. Is there what little monitor? How do you get that little monitor to monitor your glucose?
Super easy. I was curious. I couldn't get it through my insurance because, I've been working out to be a pre-diabetic. That's the whole goal, right? But I got it on Amazon. It was called Lingo, and there are several. It's called Continuous Glucose Monitor. I got one that's $47. It only lasts 2 weeks. That's the whole issue. But it gave me so much data to know my body, how it reacts. And that's the invitation. You girls can get it for 2 weeks and understand what your habits are doing to yourself internally. It's just awareness, bringing awareness. That's the first thing I work with my clients. It has to bring awareness to your life. I can't tell, I can tell you what I do, but it wouldn't work for you. The whole point, you can go to ChatGPT and create a genetic plan, but it's for you with your conference, with your early morning meetings, with your commute, with driving the kids, taking the kids to X and Y and Z. What works for you? We have to find out for you how it works and giving you enough data of how your body is processing everything that you're thinking, feeling, and eating is the way that we understand and we make progress and we move forward, right?
I think you also keep a little key takeaway from that because you took a system you bought on Amazon, right? But one of the things I want to make sure we highlight in here is get checked. And when you go get checked, ask for the blood work of everything because we need to advocate for ourselves when we go to the doctors are not gonna tell you. When I go, I said I want the full panel. I want a full panel. What do I need? What do I need to do? And it gives me a chance to. That's actually how I started because I literally went for my blood work and high cholesterol runs in my family from both sides of my family. And the doctor's like, your cholesterol is high. I'm gonna put you on medication. I'm like, no, give me a couple months, doctor. I'll be back. That scared me enough to go back and I'm like, made some changes and I was determined to drop weight. And I did it by making some healthy choices because I was afraid to start taking medication because I knew the medication has side effects. And so I was like, that scared me more than anything. So I made some changes. I went back like 6 months later and my cholesterol went down. So that was like the key for me. And I realized that if I keep my weight under normal weight, all the other things go away. And so, and I'm mindful of that. But I think I have to be a little bit more mindful as I get older because I don't know what side effects. Diabetes doesn't run really in my family, but I'm talking to people and I'm learning a lot of things as they share their stories. And it just makes me want to question more and be aware of those things that I'm doing to my body that I wasn't paying attention to. Because people don't realize that el pan dulce, la tortilla de harina, those are carbs, they're sugar. And so it goes to education.
Yes. And you know what super interesting thing that I learned when I lost the weight is that not even if your diabetes doesn't run in your family, high glucose spikes create, if you have the genes, right, it could lead to insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. So that's one area, right? But always high glucose spikes create like oxidative processes in our body. So it's like we're wearing ourselves out. That's why glucose is so important. Is understanding that el azúcar, el pancito dulce, that itself it doesn't have so many calories most likely, but it's those glucose spikes, right? And disrupting our gut bacteria, highly processed food like sugar, like white sugar, right? All of those disrupt our gut bacteria and could cause inflammation, could start messing up with your head. And mental health is very well connected to eating better, not only keeping the weight off. So you bring up a great point, Maria, and it's being preventive. There's so many things that we have to take charge. We take charge of everything in la casa, right? La jefa de todo. Well, taking charge of our health is making sure that we're putting the right fuel in our car. we're feeding our car and we're pushing it, we want to make sure we're feeding it right. It's not only the amount of calories. It's not just that, it's the quality of the food that we put in it. Because like you very well said, overweight and obesity can lead to so many diseases. But not only that, our genes bring some other genetical information that we need to take care of. There's another boom out there, supplements, right? And multivitamins, and you have to take all these vitamins. Well, not really. Not really. Stop wasting money in supplements. Like if another thing you want to take away from this call, talk to your doctor. Get your blood panel and make sure if you have low vitamin C, low vitamin D, low vitamin, then you get the supplements for that. But stop supplementing everything. Stop wasting money. Invest money in buying organic chicken. Invest money in buying organic Greek yogurt, things that you can eat, that you know there's nothing added to that, that is good for your body. You're going to start feeling much better.
It's a great point. Especially you say that, so buying all this stuff with TikTok, they're selling all kinds of supplements, all kind of medicine, and a lot of fake stuff in there. One other that I see a lot trending right now is magnesium complex.
Oh, yes.
And I'm like, should I be taking that? Because it's a pitch.
Yes.
So does that matter? What do you think about that?
Beautiful. And you know what? Magnesium, I like it. It's for muscle relaxation. I like it because I work out very hard. So when I do it, I just take it. But it doesn't help you sleep. It can be a laxative. There are several types of magnesium, right? Magnesium for muscle relaxation, for digestion. So if you need some help in going to the bathroom every day, magnesium could be one help, right? But making sure you eat enough fiber, making sure that you're having good carbs, enough veggies, that actually cures like 90% of everything. Because through fruits and veggies, you're getting all the minerals, the vitamins in. Through the protein, you're getting all the amino acids. And through the carb, you're calming your nervous system down. That covers 90% of everything. There are some specific vitamins like vitamin D that is harder to get. There's a lot of people with vitamin D deficiency, but you need to get tested before you start supplementing, right? Multivitamins, if you happen to have a diet where you don't eat a lot of fruits and veggies, then check with your doctor if that's something you could do. But like you very well said, is educating ourselves in what's going on with our bodies instead of just buying. It's like we're blinded, right? Remove the blindness. Get your glucose monitor and see if there's something that you need to do. Get your blood tested once or twice a year and just make sure that exactly what you did, Maria. And I really admire you for doing that. Instead of taking a pill, that's the way that the doctors here recommend. You're like, I can do this on my own. And that's sustainable, more clean. And I don't know if it's as Latinas, there's a lot of like anti-pills. And because we know that we can heal through food, right? And through eating better, to choose not so much processed foods, like you're saying, like all those high protein powders and things with additional chemicals that we cannot even pronounce. We know those are not good for us, right? Why do we trust a pill? Right? Because we can't read the ingredients. Exactly. So through food and nutrition and making sure we understand our data is how we heal. I was talking to a client yesterday and she was telling me, hey, you know what? My whole journey started because my daughter at 9 got diagnosed with what was it, with type 2 diabetes, no, PCOS. And then later we understood she had type 2 diabetes. I said, at 9. And the doctor started prescribing a bunch of pills. And she's like, I'm not going to start taking pills. I'm not going to give pills to my baby girl, 9 years old, who doesn't even have her period. And you wanted me to have all these pills. So it's like going back to our roots, perhaps, and our culture brings that about. Think of your abuelita. What did your abuelita do? Have this tea, esta sopita, right? Making you do this. That's the way we heal, is through eating better and going back to our roots.
Well, you make a good point when it comes to that, because in our culture, and I remember I was talking about it in another episode, and that was one of the shocks when I moved to this country, because nothing is frozen. We had the luxury that at the end of the block was el mercado, la marqueta. So the lady that used to cook was like, before noon, was walking over there to go get the groceries that she was going to cook dinner for. We didn't have excess of food in the refrigerator. Everything was bought the same day and cooked the same day. It's like a little joke. I haven't shared this, but around Easter, which is around this time, part of the gift that we get some little pollitos de colores. I don't know if they do that in Colombia.
Yeah.
They paint them, and so we'll get them. They became my pets, and then as they got older, they disappeared. And if you guys don't know, the joke about that is because they became sopa, and then when I caught on when I was little that the sopa that I was eating was so good, it was my little pet chicken that that I had raised. That's your typical thing, like in our country because, it's not processed. They don't have anything processed. So to your point, going back to maintenance and advocating for yourself. And it goes back also another recommendation that I'll make is cook your meals instead of eating out. Because when you're cooking, you're like, oh, I'm putting too much salt. But when you buy it outside, you're like, oh, it's salt, and you still eat it. You're more prone to make different changes when you're cooking than if you go and eat out. I want you to share a little bit of when you start working with a client, what are the steps? Walk us through that process. How does that look like? And also where they can reach you to get your information and connect with you for service.
The first thing, you guessed it, we eat before a cafecito. That's the first thing we do. And honestly, it's what gives the energy for you to have stable energy throughout the rest of the day. So that, and basically what we do, Maria, is understanding your lifestyle because each person is different. You all have different jobs, different families, and I don't want you to cook different for you than for the rest of the family, right? So we start, and I work in a 12-week program, right? So we can start making changes. But at the end, there's no going back. You have the tools set for your lifestyle. So the first thing we notice is working, and my method is called the Vida method. We work on vitality, resetting your energy, igniting your strength, and then we accelerate or ascend into alignment, making everything fit into your lifestyle. By the last one is making sure that you develop the mindset, right? So that you can carry this with the rest of your life. I don't want any more yo-yo diets for my Latinas. I want them to feel strong and sexy and empowered and transmit that to the next generation. We're doing so many things different for the next generation. So we start getting more energy throughout the day, sleeping better. And those two make you have better choices with food. Being more aware of what we eat. Sometimes when you ask someone, hey, what did you have for lunch last night, yesterday? They start, oh my God, what did I think I didn't have, did I have lunch? It's more awareness to what we put in our bodies and making sure that we can plan so that your body's always with stable glucose, with stable energy, and the weight will start dropping off. The weight is a byproduct of having more health, better energy, better sleep, and becoming the healthiest, strongest, sexiest version of you. And my social media is I'm on LinkedIn and Instagram, and we're launching the second cohort of Fit and Fearless Latinas. That's the name of my 12-week program. Super happy and excited. I keep it small. I work with only 10 women at the time, fully dedicated to them to help them get these tools and get their healthiest, sexiest version of themselves out there.
Great. Well, you're going to give me some of that information so I can also attach it to the episode when we launch. I have one question because we have a lot of different ages in our platform, in our community. Just I'm speaking only for myself, but do you have something to help women that are in their menopause stage? Because a lot has to change with supplementations. Walk us just a little bit about the difference in that because it's a little bit of a difference
Absolutely.
monitoring our hormones.
Absolutely. And each stage is different. I work with clients from 30 to 55, 60 years old. I had a 72-year-old client as well. It's all about understanding what goes in your body and adapting to and making sure you have the best habits at that stage. So working out for sure is very important in menopause, especially to balance the cortisol, to make sure that you don't have so many glucose spike that reduces the hot flashes so much. Make sure that you're eating enough protein. Most of the times we do not hit the protein target. You very well know when you were doing your program, right? Eating protein changes everything. Being mindful of what you're putting in your body helps you reduce the cravings and making sure you're working out to stay in your best shape and have the best experience in menopause. We're all gonna get there, luckily, right? We're lucky to get there, right? We want to get there and be our best selves, protecting our bodies. And there's so many things that nutrition can heal for us. Food literally is healing for our bodies and guiding you through how to get there, balancing the right things.
Good idea. Good advice. So one of a couple questions that we ask all our guests, and this is one of them, is what motivates you?
Motivates me, to empower women. I love seeing the energy when I start working with someone a little afraid is being vulnerable, right? Our weight and the way we look at ourselves is very touching, it can help us be very secure or not being so secure in our job, in our life, with our partner, and then start seeing the evolution. Like, hey, Anna, I'm sleeping better. Hey, Anna, my jeans fit again. Hey, Anna, my husband is telling me I look hot. It's just like, this is so empowering because we all should be feeling and looking our best and just being happy with life. And that really motivates me, helping people just like blossom. That's why my logo in my Ana Latina logo is like a woman blossoming. Is because I want to help you. So I was there. I was there where you are, sad, confused, tired all the time with cravings. I want to help you get to that blossoming area where you're just happy, full of energy, and just your best, sexiest self.
That's awesome. Great advice and great words to motivate. So what's next for you?
For me, is my next cohort of Fit and Fearless Latinas. We start in May 15th. Super happy. We're going to work on the mindset mainly to get out of all those beliefs that we have. Eat less, move more, do more cardio. No al arroz, no al pan. I want to remove all that BS that we have around us, the supplements. There's a much simpler way just to help you get to the habit that works for you.
And if you have some wisdom, words of wisdom, Anna, words of wisdom, what would they be?
I want to tell you that you're not alone. You're not the only one experiencing this. And that's why finding your community, finding women that are on the same track. It's so important. What you're doing, Maria, is so important because you're forming this community of telling people you're not alone in your journey. And there's so much misconception and misinformation out there. Perhaps your doctor's not giving you information. It's your role, it's your responsibility to take charge. There are many other women going through the same. Go find someone that is on the same path, and perhaps your husband is not with you. It doesn't matter. Perhaps your kids are not. It doesn't matter. It's you. It's you. And there are many other women that are there to hold us all together and help you get there to that version.
I agree. And this is, I'm glad that you acknowledge this because this is why I created this opportunity. Because whether they're listening to your episode as they're working out or running errands or driving, they get an aha moment and maybe they get like, I'm going through that. Oh, she went through that. Oh, that means I can do this too. It is also giving them the permission in a sense that it can be done and it has been done, and they feel empowered to know there's a community here that can help. We have so many different topics that we're covering. And when I saw you, I'm like, I need to get her in because I literally just did the episode with diabetes. I was actually learning because unfortunately I don't have to deal with that, but I'm curious to know. And as she's explaining it, she has her book about it. It's important for us to educate others as well because knowledge is power. And if we actually give more power to the people that are listening to, they're more likely to go get checked with their doctor, ask the right questions, make those life changes that are not too late to be made. They'll be making those changes when, you can't get out of bed because you didn't make those changes enough to eat better, work out, and now your body's kind of giving up, right? If you have the time, make the changes right now. And the last question we ask, because this is a Inner Niña platform, and the reason I started this platform is I'm in a healing journey. And coming from El Salvador, I've dealt with a lot of things that is part of our culture. I'm trying to break generational cycles. So I'm trying to heal my inner self by doing a lot of different things to take care of me for once. And this is part of it. So I know that all our guests, regardless of how beautiful we look in our own different age, there's still a little girl inside, una niña chiquita, longing to be loved, longing to be understood, longing to be healed, whatever the case may be. In our healing journey is longing to share something with us. So if you had a chance to go back and talk to her, the little Anna, the little baby girl, what would you tell her?
That's such a beautiful question. I've been thinking about it because you shared it with me before. What would I tell her? You know what? I felt like I was faced against the world on my own. Like I had to figure out on my own. It was only me that I was going through all of this. It was only me, que era la más gordita, that I didn't have the energy, that I was going. And what I would tell myself is don't be afraid to open up, to ask for help. Because there are people who have been there, who know a different way, and who can help you out. So you don't have to do this on your own.
That's great. Great advice. Great advice. And I think your little version of you will be proud because you actually went through something as big that you challenged, and that you're using that platform to help change people's life, by educating, and that motivate you to be in the journey that you're in right now. So I know she will be proud of the adult version of you. So congratulations to that. I want to say thank you, Ana, for joining our Inner Niña community, for being here and sharing all these wonderful advice. And if our guests have a chance, please visit her website, sign up for her workshops to help you make better choices and live a better, healthier life. Be a better version of yourself. To our listeners, thank you for listening and holding space for me. I am Maria Benitez, and this is our journey together. Until next time. Thank you. Gracias. Bye.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for holding space for me. And thank you for allowing me to walk beside you as you heal your inner Niña. Until next time, please don't forget to follow and subscribe.